Alright guys, welcome back to another Daisy tutorial. In this one, I want to show you how you actually go ahead and install Oxide and then start to install plugins. Now, the reason you need to install Oxide first is because plugins rely on Oxide being on your server so you can use them. That said, let's go ahead and actually show you what you need to do. Now, I have already gone ahead and done this already. So on my test server, you will see I've got the stuff already there, but I can still show you the process of what you need to do. Also, I'll show you a couple of plugins and how you set permissions, because some plugins do require certain permissions to use. Admins need to use a certain permission for them, and also your normal sort of players, your default players, require permissions too. But some plugins are only required for admins. So what I mean is, if there's a mod that's required for an admin, you would give an admin permission to use that plugin, but not your normal default players. Right. If I've confused you, I will show you more in a sec. Right, first thing you'll do is you want to go to this website. Link for this website will be in the description. Again, there'll be another link to a site I'm using for a permissions manager plugin. That is on a different site, but I will put a link in the description for that. Anyway, go to this site, umod.org. First thing you want to do is we need to get Oxide. You do also get the plugins from this site, but we'll deal with them in a sec, but we want to get Oxide first. So go up to you might bring you to this page, okay? But at the top, go to the Games tab. Then once it loads, it should only take a second, find Rust, and it seems to be the first one here. Click on Rust, and at the top here, you got a few downloads. I'm not quite sure what these patch things are. I've not downloaded them, and everything seems to work as fine. But what you will need is at least the main download link. Now I'm running on Windows. My server's running on Windows, so I'm going to download the Windows update. But if your server's a Linux build, then you would download the Linux download file. But like I said, I'm on Windows, so I would go ahead and click download. This will download. I already have it on. Actually, yeah, I do already have it on my desktop. So if I just minimize this, we'll go to my desktop, and it is this. There, you'll get this oxide.rust.zip file. What you want to do is you want to open this up. You want to unzip it. So something like WinRAR, WinZip, 7-zip, whatever WinZip program you use, open it up. If you want, I use BandyZip. It's free. I would, suggest using this because it'll probably help you follow along with this video a bit more if you don't already have a zip application and you're not familiar with using one. But go ahead. I'm not going to go show you how you install BandyZip if that's what you want to use. Should be videos out there. It is fairly simple to install BandyZip. But once you've got it installed, you can see we got this little zip icon. This is like the BandyZip icon. I can literally just double click it. It opens up in BandyZip, and then I would extract, and it would extract this Rust dedicated _data folder to my server. Now I'm not going to if you click extract and choose the file path you want it to. I'm not going to do it because, like I said, I've already got it, and mine is right here. So just ignore that. Right, so mine is right there. What I'm moving around now. This is what you'll get once you've extracted the zip file. There, you can go ahead and delete that if you want to. I've just kept it there for the time being, but I usually end up deleting them. What you want is this Rust dedicated _data folder. For me, and like I said, all my videos, depending on how you get this folder to your server, it's going to depend on how you do it on your system. If you're working from your own desktop, your server, you're running this from your desktop, from your web host, it's on your network, you can probably literally just drag this folder into the location. Now I'm running my server's on a dedicated server, which means I have to connect to another desktop via remote connection, and I simply can't drag and drop this. So the easiest way for me, without using a FTP program, something like FileZilla, what's the other one? Is it WinSCP? I think it's the other one, and there may be some more. Without using one of them, for me it's easier just to right click, copy this, and then I've already got it open, but it's on my other monitor, so let me just drag it over. This is my dedicated desktop. You can see Windows desktop there. It's different, dedicated. For me, so I'll go to the correct path for Rust. Now, I've got two servers. I've got my main one and my test one. We're working with the test server, so I'm going to go to my test server folder. You go to that and you would paste in. So I'd right click and I'd paste in that folder that I've just copied, that I've extracted from the Oxide zip that we downloaded. Now, you can see Rust dedicated underscore data. There is already a default Rust dedicated underscore data folder here. This isn't new. This is there. It's just not basically got Oxide in it. So what you do is you just right click, paste, or if you're using, like I said, an FTP program, you would just upload that folder. I was going to say file. Upload that folder to this location on your server, and just override the existing folder. You basically want to update the existing folder with the new stuff in it. This then, when you do this, also make sure your server is offline, as I do not think it will work if your server is running. Then once you've done this, you can start your server up. Once you start your server up, you'll get a couple of new folders and some files generated from Oxide. Now, the one folder you'll get is this Oxide folder right above it. This will be one of the new folders that will be generated, and this is the main folder that you're going to need to deal with. Sorry, I got... Oh, right, that's better. My throat. Yeah, this is the new folder. Once you start your server up, it'll generate. This is the folder that you're going to need to deal with. Now, three main folders you're going to... or two sort of main folders you're probably going to deal with mostly. One is the plugins folder, and this, of course, is where your plugins go. And again, we'll get to dealing with the plugins in a second. I just want to explain everything so you're aware, you have some sort of understanding. This is where your plugins go. If we go back to your Oxide folder, at the top here, you've got a config and a data folder. Now, mostly, some plugins don't have a config file or a data file, but most of them do. If there's any things that you can like change within that plugin, like for example, you can get there's like a stack modifier plugin, which means you can modify what items are stacked into a certain quantity, and that'll create a file, and you'll go into that file to adjust what you'd like. Now, usually it'll go into the config folder, and you'd find the JSON file for that file for you to generate, for you to basically adjust, not generate, for you to adjust. But some plugins, and again, sometimes they do both. So, for example, I think maybe the Radar does it, maybe Kits does it in config. If we go to data, yeah, you can see you got a Kits folder there, but you've also got, so you got a Vanish players JSON there in the data folder. But we should also, we've also got a Vanish JSON file here. So some plugins will create two JSON files. Now, mostly you only need to deal with the config JSON file, but some plugins do require you to go into the data folder and adjust the JSON file. Adjust what you want within that JSON file in this folder path. It usually says that on the plugin page. So as long as when you install plugins, as long as you go through it and read it, it should be pretty simple. And if anyone's worked with a JSON file before, you can usually understand them what they mean. Anyway, that's the main things you want. So this is really the folder that we are looking for. There is other folders I think it generates and files, but I don't think you really need to worry about them. At least I haven't, and everything's running smoothly. Right, so once we've got Oxide, next thing we want to do is install plugins. So if we just go back to my desktop, now I'm going back to my desktop to like download things and that. I could just do it off the dedicated desktop, and I could probably simply drag and drop. In fact, no, we won't do it because I've already done it. But yeah, I could essentially just work from my dedicated desktop, drag and drop. But for some reason, I'm just used to going to my desktop, downloading stuff off here, and just working, from my desktop. It's pretty simple, and like I said, it's just a matter of right clicking, copy, right clicking, pasting. Right. I hope you're with me so far. So that's Oxide installed. That is what you need to do for Oxide. If, right, then we want to go to this site again. No, we don't. We want to go to this site. Actually, it doesn't really matter which order you do this. And you don't, this mod I'm about to show you, you don't have to have it. But it is going to make dealing with your permissions so much more easier. But go to this website. It is called codefling.com. And again, this will be in the description. But you want to look for this permissions manager plugin. If you go, I'll provide the actual direct link, so it should take you to this. Sorry, I had to burp. I'll put the link to this plugin in the description, so it should take you straight to this plugin page. What you want to do is you want to download this. Again, like I said just before, read what permissions you need, read what commands you've got and everything like that. But yeah, pay particular attention to chat commands. There is different commands. You can do /perms. You can do /perms group or /perms player. Or yeah, basically. So /perms group or /perms player is basically the three commands you're going to need. I just use /perms because from that command it is easy enough to just get to the groups or the players, depending on what you want to adjust with. But we'll show you that in game. Right. I'm not going to go and read all this. You can if you want to. But the most important thing is just download this site and I'll download this plugin and I'll show you what to do. Once you got that plugin, again, I don't think I've got it on here. Have I? No, I've got a load of plugins in the top right here. Have I got it on here? No, I don't already have it on here. But just imagine this Oxide zip was a plugin. Right click on it like I did before, copy. Then go to your dedicated desktop or go to your server. Let's go to server files. And again, I like to just stress this just so you're aware and not confused. I need to go to my desktop. You can use FTP to do this, or you can drag and drop if it's on your same your same desktop, your same network. But because mine's on two different networks, two different desktops, I can't drag and drop. And I prefer to use this method rather than using FTP. Right, once you've copied the plugin that you've downloaded, if you go to your Oxide folder that's newly generated, go to plugins, and that permissions manager, it'll be permissionsmanager.cs. That'll be the file. Put it inside the plugins folder, and again, I would just right click and I would paste. As you can see, I've already got it there, so I'm not gonna copy or paste anything. Right, once it's in there, you can do. There's a it's on there. Right, there's let's work off my. Let me just reboot my test server because it's actually not started. If we just start my test server, we'll let that start. There is a simple command that you can do in this start bat window just to make sure the plugin is installed. If this is running, you can install plugins while your server's running. I just got it offline because it's a test server and I don't need it online all the time. But once you install a plugin in this window, it will come up automatically that there's a plugin installed. And just look, it's always worth looking at this window just to make sure there is no issues, because if you do install a plugin, it might come up with some error and you need to just make sure you're aware of it and make sure you fix that error. Alright, it should be starting. It seems to be taking a while. Right, we're just going to let this start, and we're just going to carry on with the video, and hopefully by the time I've got to the next plugin for you guys, this should all be starting up. Right, so that's the permissions manager plugin, and like I said, the reason why I've just shown you that first is because dealing with permissions, which we are going to need to do with certain plugins, it's going to make it easier. Now, I will show you obviously using the permissions manager to deal with a permission, but I'm also going to show you the way that you can deal with permissions within this start bat window. So there's two different ways. Right, if we tab back, I don't know why it's not. It should start. There could be an update or something. Right. If we minimize out of this, right. this permissions manager website, this codefling.com, we do not need it no more. I can close that down. We want to go back to UMod. Now, to get plugins, instead of going to games, you go to the plugin tab at the top, which is right next to it. It should come up with a list of plugins. I'm on last updated. You can change the filter, say basically most downloaded or newest, whichever you want to look for. Most downloads is probably generally where you want to look, because these are the plugins that work. These are good, that people are using on a daily basis. You can also, if you want to make sure that you're not dealing with plugins from any other mods, from any other games, just click on Rust, so you know that the plugins here are only for Rust, because this is the game we're dealing with. Now, I'm going to show you, because it's up here, and I think because this is going to be a decent mod, we're going to do Vanish. And I also want to show you, actually, I think we can just deal with Vanish. I think for the sake of other plugins, when you install other plugins, to do permissions is the same. You've just got to pay attention to the permission that you need to put in, basically. So what I mean is, if we scroll down on this plugin, on this Vanish plugin, we've got a permissions section, and we basically need to allow the user to use this vanish.allow permission. There is vanish.unlock, vanish.damage, which we'll also set as well, and vanish.permanent. Now, vanish.permanent basically does what it says on the tin. It means you are permanently vanished. Even if you try and use the vanish permission to get out of it, you're permanently vanished. So I suggest, not really using this. I don't use this. I will just toggle it on or off by using the allow command. And I've also set a bind key for this. Now, I'm not going to go into how you bind keys in this video, but I will do a video soonish, I think. Give me a couple of weeks and I'll try and get a video out showing you how to bind keys. So you don't have to type in the permission, because to use this permission, you would generally type it into your chat. But if you bind a key, you can literally just push one key and you can turn it on or off, basically. But we'll just show you, in this video, we're going to show you it with actually typing the command. Right, so pay particular attention to the permissions. You've also got commands. So this is the command. You type vanish, and in chat you put a / in front of that, but we'll go into that in a second. So go ahead at the top here and click download. Once you've downloaded it, find where you've downloaded it. Okay, I've already got it on here. It's a .cs. All plugins should be a .cs file. Basically, put this vanish.cs file into your plugins folder on your server. And again, we'll go to my server. That doesn't seem to be loading. Let me see if I can restart it. I may just see if there's an update or something I need to do. And hopefully that will start working. Right. So, go to the Oxide folder, go to your plugins folder, and you'd put in the Vanish plugin, or whatever plugin is that you're dealing with, okay? So, don't be confused. I'm not going to go for every single plugin, because dealing with permissions, once you've got permission manager or whatever, it's going to be the same process and same step that you need to do. Right, now you can see I've already got a few plugins there. I'm not going to go through all these. I'm just going to show you the Vanish one. But go ahead and put the Vanish plugin there. And as we showed you at the start, it creates a vanish.json file in the config and one in the data folder. If we go into the JSON file, is there anything in there? Oh yeah, there's a couple of things that you can mess with and change. I'm not going to go into that because it is fairly self-explanatory. It's fairly simple to understand what each thing does. But go ahead and look at that. If you do make any changes within a JSON file, like any changes to the config file of a plugin, you do need to make sure you reload that that file, and I will show you that as well. I'll show you what I mean by reload it. Right, I am just going to. It doesn't seem to want to be like doing anything. I'm just going to stop the video briefly. I'm going to see if there's an update, and then I'll get the server started, and I'll be back with you with the next steps. Alright guys, so the server started. we can now show you how you would reload any files that you've made changes to. So if we made a, which I have done actually, I've changed the URL icon. So we would need to reload them changes. So once you've made changes to a JSON file, go ahead and save it, of course. And then in here, in the CMD exe box thing, type o.reload, the name of the plugin, so it's called Vanish. I use a capital V. And then space. Well, no, you don't need space. You just push enter. This will unload the plugin, reload the plugin with the new changes, and anything that you've changed will take effect on your server straight away. That's how you would reload a JSON file. So any changes you make in any JSON file, you would use the same command, o.reload space, the name of the plugin with a capital letter for each word. So if the plugin name had 2 words, you'd use a capital letter at the start of each word. And make sure you put the words together. You don't need a space between them. And that's how you reload the file. Now, we can go ahead and set permissions also this way. And the permission, actually, I need to actually close it. I don't know why. Give me 2 seconds. It is just on my other monitor there. I don't know why I closed it. Right. Come on. Computer's just started going slow for some reason. Right, we got the permissions in the plugin webpage. Now, these are the permissions there. Now, I'm just going to copy the vanish.allow. And we'll go back into my server. We'll go back into the CMD exe window. And if I wanted to set the permission, what I would do is o.grant. Oh, no, I put a comma. Right, o.grant space. Then you type in group, because we want to try and grant this permission to a certain group, and space. Now, by default, with Oxide, it gives you 2 groups as a default thing. You get a default group and you get admin group. Well, admin group is pretty self-explanatory. This is people that are set as admins on your server. The default group, that is for your normal players. So any normal player that joins your server will be put in this default group. Vanish is a permission. It's a plugin that uses permission for admins. So I wouldn't need to grant this to the normal players. But if it was a permission that I did need to, I would just type in default there. But it's not. It's for an admin group, so I'm going to put admin. Then space, and then you would paste in the permission. So we're trying to grant vanish.allow to the admin group. And then you push enter. Now it's going to tell me I've already got permission because I've already granted it myself. But if you hadn't already granted it, it would basically look something similar and say group admin has been granted permission vanish.allow. Right, now there is some other permissions, which if we go back to this, we've got vanish.unlock and vanish.damage. We'll grant them in game, so I can show you the permission manager side of it and how you would grant, I would use that to grant permissions instead. And I would recommend just use permission manager if you're going to be logging into your server. I would use permission manager to grant permission anyway, because it's a lot simpler. But if you're not, if you're just working server side, you haven't got time to log into game or anything, and you just want to get some, you want to install a plugin and grant some permissions ready, you can just use this way. Right, I'm just going to quickly pause the video here because I need to reload Rust up and I need to log in, and that's a best part of a 10-minute process. So I'll let that do. I'll log into game and then we'll go from there, and I'll show you how you would use the permissions manager plugin to grant permissions to use certain permissions. Okay, we have got into the server, and so far the only permission that we have granted myself or granted the admins is the vanish.use permission. So this basically means I can type in the chat command vanish, and I am now invisible and vanished. I'm using the vanish permission. I get to use that, and that's fine. That's all you really need. But there are some other permissions to set, and I want to show you how to set them using the permission manager. And again, just because I did the vanish.use permission in the start back console window, you can use the permission manager to do that as well. I just wanted to show you that way of doing it, or the permission manager. So there's two ways essentially how you can do permissions. Right, so to bring permission manager up, it's /perms, and then we'll go to all groups. Just ignore this player section. Whatever players are on your server or are connected to your server, even if they're offline, there'll be a list of players. I wouldn't suggest, going. You can individually choose each player and set them permissions. I would just do them as a group in general. So click on the all groups at the bottom, and then you've got the two groups by default which Oxide give you. Now, Vanish is only used in the admin. You only need to do permissions for the admin, so I'm not going to go into the default group, but that is your normal players. We're going to go to the admin players. So we'll go to admins, and then we'll click on the Vanish plugin. And so far you can see what's in orange is basically, well, it's not really orange, but it's like a browny orangey colour. I'm just going to call it orange for the purpose of the video. What's in orange means is what is granted to us or not granted. So as you can see, the allow option, it's in orange, it's in granted. That means we have granted it, and you know that because we just granted that just a second ago in the console window thing. So I'm not actually sure what you call it. It's like the start back console thing. We granted it there, but we didn't grant any of these others. So this is where I want to show you permission manager and how you grant them. And there's no commands. All the commands already here. It's simply clicking on what you want. So if we want to be able to use the unlock feature while in Vanish, we would just click granted, and you can see that's gone from orange to on the revoke side to orange on the granted side. And same for the damage. Pay attention, look, it's orange there. Click granted, it's now orange there, and it means we've now granted ourselves the unlock feature for Vanish and the damage feature for Vanish. And again, on the plugin, it actually explains what each of these do. Ignore the permanent one. I wouldn't suggest granting the permanent feature, just the top three. Anyway, that is how you use permission manager, and it's the same for any other plugin. We have got some other plugins installed and we have set, but if, say, the admin radar, you just click on, whatever you want. It's all the same. It's just the permissions may be called something different for each plugin, but the way you grant them or revoke them is the same. And revoked obviously means not granted, and granted means it's granted, they can use it. But yeah, it's the same process. And again, it's also the same process for the default group. You just go into the default group, and I've actually got a skins video coming out fairly soon, which shows you me going into the default group and granting permissions. But unfortunately for that, with the skins plugin, there's only one permission that you need to grant for the skins, where some plugins may use one or two permissions or more. Anyway, if we type in, as you can see, type in /Vanish, we've got the, we can use the Vanish thing, and we can just simply type /Vanish again to go out of it, and that's it. I will show you a video some point soon. I think I've already mentioned it, showing you how to use keybind, so it saves yourself typing it into chat. You can just press a key. I will do a video for that. But if anyone is confused so far, if anyone doesn't quite understand, in my YouTube channel there is a link to my Discord. Come and join that, and come and speak with me, come and message me, or whatever. And also, some people do get confused. My YouTube channel is my name, but like in game and on Discord and that, my actual name is One Shot in there, because that's the name I tend to go by while in games. But my YouTube channel is actually my name. So when you do join Discord, just look for One Shot, or message me, create a ticket or whatever, and then I'll get back to you. But this should be pretty simple. All plugins are the same. I suggest using permission manager to grant permissions because it's easier. But if you haven't got time to log into game, you've simply just I don't know, you got 5 or 10 minutes spare, and you just want to quickly install a plugin and grant the permissions ready, you can just simply do that, install a plugin, and then on the console window, the CMD exe console window thing, when you start your server up, just type in the command there. And again, that is o.grant space group space either admin for your admin group or default for your normal players, and then space and then the permission. It's that simple. Anyway, that's it. Until next time, guys, have fun and peace out.